What's going on, gamers? Guys, this right here, I am not shocked, but oh boy, is it all over the place today. And this is something coming out of Jez Corden's world. Yeah, guys, are you ready for this? Xbox Helix without Steam. Just think about that title right now. AGN just sees a big mess here. Microsoft does not know what to do. And I mean, are you going to be a publisher? Or are you going to try a dead route that you know didn't work in an even worse economic situation that is going to be far beyond $1,000 with a store nobody wants to support, and now you wanted to go the hybrid Helix route, which means the PC route, and you're not going to include Steam? Nobody gets on PC to get on the Windows Store. Nobody wants an Xbox hardware anymore. Or an Xbox console, right? Adrian has to get close on the camera for you. Let's get into this. Oh man, oh boy, you know, they really just don't get it, man. Sean Layden told you pick a lane. Okay, Xbox Helix without Steam. Again, I mean, man, I just don't know how this is gonna work, guys. What are you gonna have? You're gonna have to kill Game Pass and try the old game in the Xbox One era, 360 era, like that's there for you with your brand. Somebody's gonna buy your stuff in Europe, in Japan. I don't get it. Jazz Corden comments. Let's keep reading here, though. Stick around for this. AG is about to get into this. Jazz Corden comments on Windows Central that the plan to open Xbox Helix to Steam and PC stores might be in jeopardy. Why? PC is Steam when it comes to gaming. Then after that, Epic and GOG, or GOG and Epic. I'm going to put GOG number 2. You guys know why. Microsoft will fight with Epic Games. Hey, I'm just saying, without revenue from game sales in its store, Microsoft can't subsidize the hardware. Yeah, I mean, that was probably going to be the deal. If you want to put Steam in there, but it's like, but wait, Steam is on PC, Xbox app is on PC. Why would you get hit with the 100%? Unless you think that this is going to be a console? Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? This is nothing but confusion, guys, I'm telling you. They need to find something to where if the person that you left around, because remember, they fired pretty much anybody else. Jazz is still around, right? And if you guys are going to be delivering messages, all of you need to be unified and synced. I don't understand why this is now coming up, but Phil Spencer had a strong message for that. But that's what a PC does. It just has all the apps. So do you want to be a console now, or do you want to be a PC? Do you want to be a publisher, or do you want to play the exclusive game? Because if you want to truly play the exclusive game, yeah, Steam can be involved. Then you're going to try to be just like PlayStation, where all my games are into my console. So I'm going to try to play the old Blockbuster game, where my hardware is going to sell a lot, and I'm going to sell a lot of copies in the Xbox world, and it's only available on there. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend being a strong publisher. But hey, you know, and like Satya said, Microsoft can't subsidize the hardware. So the Helix is, how are you going to sell a lot of something that's going to be clearly over $1,000? Jez reveals a key fact. Only 2% of Xbox Ally users without a console buy games in the Xbox store. The rest go straight to Steam. Yeah, because nobody's going to the... Why would you go to the Xbox store on PC when you can get it on Steam? Steam is way better. Proton is way better. Linux is better. You ever wonder on a Windows platform? Remember I said this before. Microsoft can't beat anything in its own world. The Microsoft Store was trash for a long time. Not only recently in the past year or two that you guys started making that better. But think about how bad it was before. Steam made PC gaming what it is. You're not going to remove people from that. You're not going to come in there and play tug of war with them, or play King of the Hill and then think you're going to get all this territory, right? Or annex or whatever. And you're going to claim all these territories and move Steam's percentage back. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see that happening in the Xbox world. I don't see the Xbox Helix being relevant either. So what I don't get is, if this is true, why are you trying to move the needle when that's how bad it is for you? Yeah, you can't even move the needle barely. Forza barely did that. Because you're trying to say that all these things, like think about it, no more exclusives on PlayStation, some of them, right? Now I want to abandon Steam. I want to go back to exclusives. I want people to focus on my hardware, so I'm going to remove Steam so people could buy more games from the Xbox store. That means you're trying to get people to focus on that hardware. That's not going to happen in the PC world. You're thinking about this for your device, but your device would have to sell like 40 to 50, 60 million. And then when you do that, you're going to weaken your publishing. So now you're not getting publishing profit off of Steam. Your publishing is going to weaken down. You have a day one Game Pass minded mentality base that is looking for everything to come to Game Pass day one. You want to recondition them out of that Netflix comfort to get back to paying for a bunch of games that you're not going to put on Steam now, and that you're not going to put on PlayStation, and you're going to make back that 250 to 300 million on most of those games, because that's how much they usually cost. Not every game is 400 or 500 million. How are you going to get that without Steam? It's almost like Microsoft is so split up with itself. All these ideas it has, one is over here that's good for this, and one is bad for this. One is bad for this, one is good for this, and there's too much of this. The only way you can play that game is if your install base was so big and so profitable. But you don't have the PlayStation install base. You don't have the Nintendo Switch install base. You don't have the Steam install base. And that's not hardware, but I mean, you don't have the Steam base. The Xbox base is very small compared to Steam, Nintendo, and PlayStation. Their install base, when you're looking at hardware wise, it's just become shrinkingly, small over like the past 6 to 7 years. If you look at the Xbox One and you saw how much it sold, and you look at the Xbox Series, it got split in half. And the people that used to be active on Xbox One, they're all gone mostly, literally the majority of them. There's only a few amount left over with the Xbox Series. So how small is the total install base of Xbox that's actually active? I don't even know if they're at 30 million in total. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's like the real number. When you think about like PlayStation and Nintendo, they're over 100 something million active. Steam might be somewhere close around there too. So why are you thinking about and I'm just, Adrian has to comment on this, and people think that I probably beat down everything. No, I'm just trying to tell you that this company needs to make up its mind, and it needs to realize what's best for the gaming platform. Not the hardware. The hardware, it's a sinking ship. The best thing for you is to be a strong publisher. And if you want to have optional devices that people want to buy, sure, go there. But just be done with Xbox hardware from the exclusive sense, because it just doesn't work. And you're not going to subsidize, and your company does not need that and does not really care about it like that. So stop playing games with people and then realize what is the most important thing for the Xbox world. I'm going to tell you, publishing, man, I don't think you should take Steam off of the Helix if you plan on having it, because it's like you having a bootleg PC that is pretending to be an Xbox console. When you're not, because you're not going to be selling 40, 50, 60 million. You're going to be, like I said, you're going to be just like the Steam machine. Because the Steam machine doesn't have an Xbox app or Game Pass. It can't, because it's straight Steam OS. You see what I'm saying? So if you're trying to make an Xbox product that's going to be like that, then you're basically making a niche market. And I think they're probably thinking about that, right? Where it's like, okay, this is going to be Xbox. It's going to be Windows only. There's not going to be no Steam on here. Then you're kind of making a different PC hybrid that does not include what gamers want from a PC world, and that's Steam, and that's their Steam library. Then they're just not going to bother focusing on you, because they're not going to abandon their Steam library to be stuck in the Windows 11 hell with a Windows library. That's like for the die-hard Xbox fanboys only. That's a very small minute across the gaming industry. I grant you, I'm just telling you, talk to every PC gamer right now. If you had a survey for 1 million, I guarantee you 90-some% will say, I need Steam. Like, I don't want to go buy a $1,400, $1,500 PC without Steam. I'd rather just have my PC rig, and I can have Steam and the Xbox app. I already have all that. So why are you trying to give me something like I want to go back and play that game again because you want to lock some games in there and not put them on Steam? That's what you would have to do, right? Because if you're trying to promote that product, do you really think that that the Xbox Helix will be a locked device to support the Xbox app world only with Xbox exclusives? Because if you're still having it on PC, then what is the point? Meaning on Steam. You would have to remove those games from Steam and only have it on the Helix, like you're playing the PS6 game. How are you going to play that game? Ain't nobody going to buy your product when it's like $1,400, $1,500. Even 13, 12, and all that. Look, I'm telling you, look at the PS5 Pro. That's not even selling like hotcakes. When you start getting in that range, console gamers don't want to mess with that. Remember, you're still trying to play the console game if you're doing this, because this is the game you're playing. The PC game in the PC world doesn't work like this. It's an app world. Consoles are different because it's based off of the install base of your hardware. The Xbox Helix is not going to outsell the Xbox Series X and S. And you didn't even want to do exclusives for that because you knew you didn't have the base. So I'm trying to figure out where are you getting this from. Do you believe something like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to carry you and you're going to lock that into that? I don't recommend doing that because you're going to destroy the publishing and profit. Whereas on Steam and on PlayStation, you're guaranteed easy 10 million copies between each. That's 20 million copies. That's $1.4 billion. If you have early access and other editions, you could be talking about 1.7, 1.8 billion. Why would you pass that up? Just to try to play a stupid game to a bunch of diehard fanboys that are not intelligent enough to realize that that game is over with, so that you could lose that much money and play a failed position? Because the Xbox Helix is going to fail. If you're thinking of it like a console, it's done. It's cooked. Hey, Jensen's going to be honest. I have no faith in this being even a Series XS generation. I believe you can cut that in half easily. Actually cut it by 60%. You'd be lucky to hit 10 million. But if you told me that you're waiting for the market to crash in 2028 and you're trying to get the Xbox Helix to be like $600 or $700, you know what I mean? In the hardcore model, $1,000, and then you have exclusives for that, I would say, okay, you know what? That could possibly be reasonable. But the problem I have here is the price range. It doesn't fit the console bracket. See, if this market wasn't insane and we saw the PS5 Pro right now, probably this year getting ready to be $650. Imagine that, right? And the PS5 disc is going to be $400 and the digital is $299. And the Series S was going down to $249 or $199. And the Series X was $400, and then they were going to be able to launch the next-gen consoles at $700 and subsidizing while doing that, and then eventually get them down the year after that to like $650 or whatever and give you deals. We're talking about a totally different game, but everything that we're seeing here is like $1,000+ range, and the Xbox brand is so damaged that it's hard to like believe anything in that sense. Some people, you got a lot of people that actually worry about the PS6. If you're worried about the PlayStation 6 and you know how much Sony sells, then what you think the Xbox Helix is going to do? You see what I mean? It's just common sense. It's like they got triple the sales of you. You're like 30 million? Sony's at like 94, 95 million right now. It's a blowout, man. And when you think about next gen, all of them are going to sell less. What would the Helix do? And remember, the Series X launched at 500 and had a $299 model. With day one Game Pass, amazing deals, cheap Game Pass. All that, I just want you to think about it. Had their Halo, all that, but you had to wait a year with Forza. Remember, they were playing that game. And it just died off so fast. And they couldn't ever get past a couple million in the past few years. It's like you would have thought that, I was hoping you would at least hit 40 million sales, right? You didn't even do that. They're like low 30 million ballpark. Like 33 probably. You want to give us some benefits, or 34. That's like Nintendo 64 numbers. And there was times where the the Series S, I remember it was on sale for like $249. People were buying the hell out of it. The Series X didn't even have a digital. But Microsoft was selling you that digital only for the most part because that's 77% of the sales with Game Pass and cloud. It wasn't about buying anything. They were getting you away from that. People were loving it and enjoying it. Because it was easy accessibility and it was saving them money. Nobody was complaining about physical. That only happened with PlayStation. Funny, huh? That's why I say hypocrisy. So it's right here. And it boils down to, they give us a closed, accessible system or a machine that costs more than $1,000. Yeah, if you're going to have a closed system, it has to be under $1,000. It has to be like 700 Microsoft. 800 is going to be tough. You're going to find that out when the Series X goes up to $800 in a few days, by the way. Get ready for that. You already seen your sales already. You were getting outsold by the Switch 1, and you finally beat it last month. But when you take a look at the total sales, they weren't that far ahead in total sales worldwide. They were like 50K ahead or 60K ahead. It's like, it's still not impressive. And that was your best month. You had that showcase, you had Forza launching, and you announced Gears of the exclusive with Clockwork. And then you barely outsold the Switch 1 with that. PlayStation still ate your lunch. You sold like 220,000. PlayStation sold like almost pretty much 600K. Nintendo 1 million. I saw like 1.1, something like that. You see what I mean? And that's everything you had. And that was deceptive. That showcase was a lie. Everybody knows what it is now. All those Axis layoffs and selling off and becoming independent. And just advertisements for games that weren't going to be there. And now they're saying we don't have to put them on Game Pass anymore because that was just if we were going to stay with Xbox. And then the failure of Game Pass, the failure of Xbox hardware, the lies, everything was coming out like just really bad. And a lot of people were thinking that when they thought about the Helix, they were going to be able to get PlayStation games. What happened with that? All Sony games are now gone. And if they play this game, you're not even getting the PlayStation games on Steam because they never came to Xbox. You're going to be limited. Microsoft's going to have to feed you exclusives on an overpriced model that nobody's going to buy in bulk because nobody wants to pay that much. They already have their PCs. People are going to say, no, I'd rather have my PS6 and my Switch 2. I already have that, or in my PC. I'm going to stick to Steam. And if you don't want to put games on Steam, do you believe your day one Game Pass mentality base is going to support that enough to be able to get you back that money? You have to sell millions and millions and millions of copies on Xbox. You have to be doing Nintendo numbers and minimum PlayStation numbers for big games. This is just the truth. We have to see it. It's like, if you're not going to be doing that, then what are we doing here? You're playing a dead man's game where everything that you're trying, you don't have the requirements for anymore in the 360 era. At least Xbox One has some sort of requirements, but you messed that all up. And when you sold that 58 million because you had that carryover from the 360, your software sales were still trash. You started hiding them. So even with that, you couldn't get the numbers that you wanted. That's why you introduced Game Pass and started putting games on PC. Then you saw the Series X generation, you started putting games on PlayStation and on Nintendo. And now you want to take all that away and go back to a worse position than the Xbox One, which sold 58 million. The Series X is worse than that at like 30, 33 million. The Xbox Helix is going to sell less than that. How are you even thinking about playing that game when the route should be publishing? That's what I'm saying. Like, I think the writing's on the wall. Why do this? And then say you're not subsidizing or anymore and you want to monetize. But then you're like, you're kind of like having this go on from who's supposed to be the guy that's representing you saying stuff like this. Why even talk about this if this is not going to be true, right? So what game are we playing here? This guy says it's logical. I mean, does someone really think it made sense to put other stores on your console? Dude, I don't see the Xbox Helix being a console. I see it being a hybrid PC model with backwards compatibility feats from a digital license. That's what Phil Spencer said. That's what they were all saying. Unless they want to change it all up again, that's going to take some time. You ain't seeing this till late 2028 then. It's bringing in the competition and knowing you'd get less profits. What stupidity. It was never true about including Steam and other stores. But not if your publishing profit is getting you millions of copies sold on Steam. Do you believe that the same sales would happen in the Xbox base? There is no subscription model on Steam, and they're not programmed to use a subscription model. Like the Nintendo base, they are gamers that buy games, so they wait on cheap sales. And this is a game that they actually want. The Xbox base is the only base in the world that is programmed to not buy a game day one that's a flagship title, to be put on a renting service. Sony does not play that game. It ain't going to be coming till way later on, till all the sales have tanked off. Nintendo's not playing that game ever, period. Valve's not playing that game ever, period. You're waiting on a discount. If you're going into the PC world, you need to play the PC game. It sounds like to me, you're trying to sell people an overpriced bootleg PC with no Steam. And to get people to focus on the Windows Store. That nobody likes like that. I'm just saying, like, if you want to play that game, then go back being a console then. But you're supporting a Helix. Helix means two things spiraling. That's console and PC. But now you're telling people, oh, you know what? Now I changed my mind. When it comes to PC, I don't want you to have Steam. What? I want you to buy the same thing that you could buy in the PC world and get kind of almost the same specifications and have Steam available and Xbox Game Pass and the app. Why would you get a limited PC? Unless you are a die-hard, crackhead Xbox fanboy. I'm trying to tell you, I don't see why I would want to do that. And you're the one that said you wanted to go down the PC route. You're the one that played all these games. So it's like, so wait, now you want me to buy a bootleg PC? Because ain't no console should be costing no $1,500, $1,600. If it's going to be like, because that's what I think, like, you know what I mean? Unless you have like some cheaper model that's like $800 or $700 or whatever. But even then, if people think of it like a PC, because you're going to have Windows operated in there to go to a desktop and all that, and I don't see Steam, you're giving me the Xbox Ally treatment. Nobody bought that, by the way. So when you talk about that 2%, who, what, you need to sell 1 million copies or hardware. That's why this video has to be like that, because AGN has to come to all these pointers. But they were saying they confirmed it officially. Yeah, I know that. They're right. That's what they were saying. It's going to have that. It really doesn't say that they're going to allow Steam. It could be a model similar to that of EA Play and Ubisoft Connect in the Windows Xbox app. Allowing other stores doesn't imply any store. Man, look, I remember when I was making videos about Steam coming to Xbox, everybody was blowing up because they thought a certain thing about it. But the funny thing is that's because they thought they were going to get PlayStation games that would have more games. Now, PlayStation's not putting any games on Steam. And now if Microsoft is not going to try to put Steam on there, you're not even going to get those PlayStation games. Hey, I'm just saying, right? What's going on in the Xbox world? This guy says, and they go and give us a machine worth over 1,000 that's locked down. Haha, it's possible. Hey, man, I'm just saying. Very obvious. They're going to put DRM to prevent players from accessing Steam and the other non-allowed stores. They love their closed platform way too much. This guy says the sensible thing is a logical thing. How many people with Helix who have Steam would buy games in the Xbox store? And some guy out there saying it's the end of my dream. Some guy out there still hasn't gotten it that Xbox isn't a NGO. The answer to revenues and covering their backs, of course. So you think that Microsoft is going to sell enough Xbox Helix hardwares, like they're going to be sitting at 30, 40 million, everybody's going to be focusing on that store? That's what you're saying. Otherwise, you're saying I don't want to get the extra publishing profit from Steam, because more people would buy copies if Steam was available. I could turn it around the other way, like I just said. You're thinking the wrong way. In order for this to work, it's going to have to be accessible from a price point value range. It's going to have to be easily underneath $1,000. It's going to have to match the PS6. Other than that, it's not going to work. And it's once again Microsoft trying to go full-blown into publishing and then turning around and now splitting up the publishing in half. And then now telling you, I don't want my publishing to be as strong. Look, man, I'm going to tell you, if you were able to take a look and it just showed you at how many people chose Steam to buy a game in the PC world over Xbox, that just shows you how much people don't like that store. If you put a device in front of them that doesn't have Steam, they're not going to buy it. They're going to just go buy a PC that has both. The Xbox brand isn't that strong. That's why the most money is made on the Xbox console from the store. They told you that, of course, because that's the only base that does that. And even then, they don't buy enough. They have been brainwashed to do Game Pass day one. So either way you have it, I have to say it this way because I'm like, if you had at least 50 to 60 million series consoles sold, then I can understand why you would still try to play this game. But at the rate that you were selling in the last few years, nobody wants to buy your hardware. And this is going to be probably 3 times more expensive than the Xbox Series consoles, 4 to 5 times more expensive than the Series S. When it was $300. See, 4 would just be $1,200 machine, right? 5 would be $1,500. Series X 3 times, that's $1,500. I don't know, right? I want you guys to let me know what you actually think about this. And there's going to be a lot of people, but you haven't seen the price of the Helix. What do you think it's going to be, bro? They already told you. It's a premium high-end machine. It's going to, you saw the specifications. Bro, that's like 50, 80 numbers. How could it be less than $1,000? It doesn't make any sense in this current market right now, man. It's going to be like $1,500 to $2,000. That's all I got to say. So become a member, leave a tip down below, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Later, keep on gaming no matter what platform, no matter what platform you're on or app. You have to say that because Steam is an app. And you know, the Steam machine. We're not going to talk about that later.